Alright, well, good afternoon. Okay, well, I was starting a project out here, and, well, the more I got into it, the more I thought, well, you know, maybe I'll do a video on this. What the project is going to be is it's one of the economy bowls, and I started out, I had a big old slab of pecan, about like this piece of oak right here. It's just a big old piece that I had cut out of a log, and I cut the pith out. Well, and what I did with it was I cut off the face to get this right here. This right here. Okay. And you know, the economy bowls are they're made in two pieces. And what I did was I book matched this back together the way I book matched it back together. I put me a big X right there. But now I've got to start milling this down. This is some spalted pecan, and I think it's going to be really pretty wood. If I can do it right, if I can get it milled up good and accurate. But what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put a segmented ring on the top, and possibly even a segmented bottom, or I may leave the bottom solid, but anyway, we'll see what we get. I don't have any idea really what I want to do with this. I know I want to make an economy bowl out of it to see you know, how I can do with that process. I've seen several people online do it. Dennis Edwards, oh man, you ought to see his website or his YouTube channel. Go to it if you really want to see these done in detail, because he is very good at it. Bob Hamilton is another that did a very good in-depth economy bowl series. But check out either one of those guys, and because the ideas for this actually came from them. But I'm just going to kind of do this in my way. I'm not going to use a 45-degree angle. I like the way Bob did his. He did his with alternating angles, and it kind of takes out some of the conical shape of it a little bit. But an economy bowl is always going to be conical shaped. Really, there's really nothing you can do about that. But I'm going to get busy. I've got these two pieces here, and all I did was cut it off the face of the log, and I cut it in half where you can kind of see some little cracks right here, and down on this end also. I don't care about the cracks. If they end up in there, then I will fix them. I'm looking for a bowl probably 12 to 14 inches. Like I say, I don't really know. I'll just have to see what I get as I go. I'm going to use my drum sander because my joiner is not going to be able to face these off as good as I want it to, or it's not wide enough. So anyway, we're going to get started with that. I'm going to start trying to get one flat face. Hopefully I can do that on my drum sander, and then I'll put it on the joiner and get the edges jointed down. Okay, let's get started. Okay, one thing with this drum sander, first of all, it is not a thickness planer. Although I guess you could eventually get something down to thickness if you would like. But I'm wanting this thing to be bigger than 12 inches. The maximum capacity of my bandsaw is 6 inches. The maximum capacity of my joiner is 6 inches. So I'm kind of stuck making at the maximum a 12-inch bowl right here. However, I think if I take my time with this, I can get this stuff milled down to you know, get them flattened together. But anyway, we're just going to get started. Let's see if I can get my height adjusted here. Okay, it's just barely touching. So I'm going to fire it up, my vacuum. Run these through until I get a good flat face. This may take a while. I'm going to keep on until I get both of these spaces flat and even. I'll be back shortly. Alright. Well, I've got one side pretty flat. And now I'm just gonna make my little pencil marks all over the back side. And then I'll run this one through. I've got both sides are pretty close to the exact same, so I'm gonna go on until I get this down. And like I said, this is not a thickness planer. It's taken me a good while to get where I am now, but it's not a thickness planer, and you may want to wear this because it's really dusty. But anyway, I'm going to plane this other side. I'm going to plane it down, or sand it down to, I'm going to sand it down parallel with the first face. Alright, here we go. Okay, well now I've got both pieces are now virtually the same thickness, but I need to joint the edges, so I need to make sure that I know which ones of these go together. I believe this is correct right here. Yep, that's it. So I need to joint that edge. So that's what we're going to start doing now. Good flat face against the joiner. One more pass. This one. So now I'm flat and parallel, and I've got my square edges that go together maybe like this. Alright, I shall get started trying to lay this thing out. Okay, what I've got this face, and I've got this face. Okay. I like all this spalting over here. I like all this discoloration and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to keep as much of that in the bow as I can. I don't know if it really matters which face I use, but I'm going to let this be the outside part of my circles where my bevels will go down this way. So what I'll do, now I've got checking and all this across through here, and well, once I repair that, I believe that's going to add to the piece. This was one of the slabs that I didn't seal with wax or anything like that. And like I said, a lot of times I'll just leave that stuff alone, and you know, just to have something different. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to put on some of this pretty yellow duct tape. I'm just going to tape these two ends together. Just something to hold them together while I draw all my circles and lay this thing out. Alright, so there we go. Now, as I draw my circles, that'll help me hold it all together. Alright, I'm looking at a piece that's I've got right at 13 inches that way. I've got 14.5 this way. So I'm going to take out a little bit of this checking, but I'm going to leave some of it in there. So if I go, and this line right here where they meet has to be the center. So I've got 14.5. So that's going to be about 7. I don't really want to. Okay, yeah, 7.25 here. All right, so that's going to be my center. Is this right here? I built me a trammel to help me draw kind of larger circles. And the way this works is I've got a little pin on the bottom right here. And I'll put that pin right where the hole needs to be. And I've got a pencil here. Well, dadgum, it's just about perfect right where it's at. But my compass isn't large enough to draw all these circles. But it's just a trammel I used to draw circles with. The only thing is, it swings so far out, it's kind of hard to. But I'll finish drawing up these circles, or this circle, because everything's in the way. Okay. Now what I'm doing now is this outside circle here is about 12 inches, or almost 13 inches. It's 12 7/8. Yep, 12 7/8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, since I'm 1.25 inches tall here, I'm going to come in about 1.25 inches, which will give me 1.25 inches here, 1.25 inches here, 1.25 inches here. Now, I'm looking at about a 5.5 inch circle here in the middle. Now you can plan these things out and and get all elaborate with it, but I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here. I know it's 1.5 inches thick. I mean 1.25 inches thick. So I'm making all my rings about 1.25 inches. So the 1, 2, 3 rings will give me 3 3/4 inches tall, plus my segmented piece on the top, and I'll have a little bit on the bottom also. So this thing will end up being probably around 5 inches tall, which is a good height for a bowl. So anyway, I've got my marks made. Now I'm just going to use my little trammel arm here to finish marking the rest of my circles. I can find my little divot there. It's kind of hard to spot sometimes. There we go. I'll bring this in to right here. Tighten that down. I'll make my next circle. We're experiencing technical difficulties. Okay. I'll just keep on until I get all my circles drawn. Let me clean off my saw so I can actually work. Alright. So there we go. Now I've got all my circles drawn. So I can take off my duct tape now. All these are good and drawn up together now. Okay, what I'm looking at here, I got all my circles drawn. You know, so there's my cutout lines. Now, basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, just for gee whiz information, I'm going to transfer these marks just to see kind of what I'm looking at as far as cutting these things out. So you can see right here, I've just transferred these marks down. So as I cut at a 45, I'll be cutting these out. So that's going to leave my bowl fairly, let's see, yeah, that's about 1.25 inches. So I have plenty of room where I could actually kind of shape it a little bit. So maybe I can keep it from being too conical. But anyway, I've got these things drawn up. I'm ready to cut them. Okay, well, let's get these things cut. I had to lop the corners off right here because they were hitting up under the bottom side of my bandsaw. So it wouldn't go but so far. Anyway, let me get this piece back in here. We will get these things cut. Okay, so that's basically what I'm looking at right there, and I'm going to continue on, and I'll cut all my half circles, and I'll be back as soon as I get all those cut. See you in a few minutes. Well, okay, here's what I've got. I've got all my pieces cut. They're all cut 45s. And the way these things work, they go together, you know, well, anyway, they all stack together. They all stack on top of each other. Just like that. Of course, that may not be there. Well, I'm sure it won't be. But these stack just like this. And the other side comes together and it goes on the same way. And anyway, the next step is going to be to glue the halves together. I'll be gluing these together like this, and these together like this, and that's why I needed to joint the faces, because now I've got good tight joints. When I glue them together, they'll be glued together really well. So I'm going to get started gluing these up, and see just how hard this thing is to do. Never done one before, so I thought that might be a good little experiment. Okay, I think I can do this. I think I figured a way that I can do it, hopefully. And we'll find out, because if it don't work, then it just won't work, right? So what I'm going to do, I've took the fuzzies off the ends. I'm just gonna put my glue on. Glue these together really well, hopefully. Good glue joints, hopefully. Alright. Okay, now come in here. I'll kind of wiggle them together a little bit. Pull them in nice and tight. Now I think that this will work. I hope it will. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. This top edge I should get good even pressure. It's almost to the capacity of my clamps. Alright. So now we'll got a little bit right there that's kind of not kosher. Alright. That's a good tight glue joint. Make sure they're pushed down good, and I shall be back shortly. Now I'm going to get all these rings glued up, and I will be right back. Okay, well, my glue's good and cured up. Well, for the most part, it's been curing for about 3 hours, so it's good to go. I don't have to worry about it. But now I've got some, you know, where your glue doesn't, where glue joints are, you want to make sure that all that stuff's flat. But I'm going to make sure that all my 3 pieces are nice and flat, and I'm just going to do that. Draw me some pencil marks on here. I'm going to run them through my sander. Alright, good. Alright. Okay. Now I'll just make new marks on this side. Marks all the way around, and I'll just flatten this face until all my pencil marks are gone. Almost. I'll just keep on until I get all my pencil marks gone. I'll be right back. I'm going to do all 3 segments. Okay, what I've got now, I've got me a waste block mounted on faceplate, and I've just been truing it up. The way I check that, always concave the middle part. Okay, always concave that. Lay your ruler across it to make sure that it sits flat here and here. And it's going to sit flat, okay? And I've already trued up the face of this, which is going to be the very bottom of my bowl. And what it's going to do is it's going to come up here, got the center mark, which I will. Alright, so now I've got my center mark. I'm just going to put glue on here. Well, all I'm going to do here is just mark with my pencil around here so I know where my glue needs to be. Now I know where to put my glue. Alright. Move it around a little bit, let it get nice and put good tailstock pressure on it. Alright. Now, I'll have to wait for that to dry, but what I'm going to do to reinforce it is I'm going to put hot glue. I'm going to put hot glue in there all the way around the outside of it. And that'll just be for reinforcement, because it's a pretty good sized bowl, and I don't want to short myself, especially since glue don't cost very much. Alright, so now what I've got is this is going to be the bottom of my bowl. It's 5.5 inch diameter, okay, and it's going to mount. It's going to mount just like that. It's all going to be trued up and mounted on there just like that.